Alhamdulillah, we will begin the body of our program now, inshallah. And I just want to my name is Zainab Abdullah, and inshallah, my history, inshallah, with the human rights movement is way, way back to my mother and my father. And my attachment to justice is extremely strong. And this is an issue that justice is weak and injustice is reigning. And so therefore I feel obliged, coming from my history and from my parents' history and from the African history that I come from, I feel obliged to be a part of this movement, of this issue, of this effort to bring these Uyghurs who are oppressed by the Chinese and other East Turkestan out of these camps that they are now dwelling in and suffering from day to day, second and second. With that said, we have before you now a persecuted Uyghur, a person who has suffered from the persecution of China, Brother Tahir Amin, and he is also a journalist, and he was owner and manager of the Uyghur Times, inshallah, and he's going to be presenting to you China's war on Uyghurs. Brother Tahir.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I'm very thankful for all of your support and your hard work to help Uyghur people. My name is Tahir Iman. I am the member of Uyghur ethnic Muslim group who are being unbelievably, unimaginably oppressed by the Chinese communist regime. I have left China on February 2017 to study in Middle East. I came to United States in 2017, August. Today's presentation would be focused on Chinese policies towards Uyghur people. First of all, I would like to introduce the region. The name of the region, Uyghur people, we use it to call this region as our homeland and East Turkestan. The Chinese Communist regime, after occupied it in 1949, they changed the name to Xinjiang, Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. Xinjiang in Chinese, it means the new territory. Xin is new, Jiang is territory. Our homeland is the largest executive province of China. It occupies the more than 6/5 of the territory. And it borders more than 8 countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Pakistan, Russia, Mongolia, India, and Afghanistan. And it has more than 150 billion, I cannot see well, barrels in oil reserve, and more than 24 billion natural gas, statistics in 2017. And we have the reserve of more than 40% of Chinese total coal. And we produce, our region is one of the most productive area in the world when it comes to the ketchup. And we also produce a lot of cotton in every year. But the monthly income of the people is still under $15. Our homeland, according to historical record and researchers and experts on the field, it has been the hub of ancient Silk Road. And it has the center of historical development and the trade. Uyghur people had managed to establish their own independent states since 7th century. Until 1949, we have established more than 7 independent classical, traditional, and modern states. The previous 5, early 5 states, they are called as Orhun Khaganate. It was established in Mongolian territory before 7th century. And after Uyghur people accepted Islam as their religion, after the king of Karahan, Black Han, King Sultan Stuk, he accepted Islam in 9th century and declared Islam as the national religion of East Turkestan. Currently we call it East Turkestan, but at that time it was called as Karahan state. Since then, until 13th century, our region was under the Islamic religious law, Sharia. And until Chinggis Khan occupied the region, Mongols also followed the traces of Uyghur people and accepted Islam as their religion. In 18th century, the Qing dynasty at that time was the most powerful empire in East Asia. They have occupied the region once again. Before the Qing dynasty occupied the region, the Mongols, in Mongols region, the Uyghur people tried all their best to teach Islam, those rulers, and the Mongols became Muslims, and they accepted Uyghur language. They they used it to speak Uyghur language. Before Qing dynasty, the whole region mixed it with different Turkic people and dominated by Uyghurs. When we say the Mongols occupied the region, we can only say that the Mongols became the symbolic rulers. After Qing dynasty occupied the region, the Uyghur people tried to be independent from Qing dynasty. In 1933, they have established their independent state. At the time, it was called East Turkestan Islamic Republic, the first republic. We call it First Republic. The short-lived East Turkestan Islamic Republic was destroyed by Kuomintang, the Chinese Nationalist Party. But Uyghurs was not totally destroyed by Kuomintang Nationalist Party. So they managed to establish their second independent state in 1944. At this time, they called it East Turkestan Republic. It has accepted some recognition from some Central Asian states, like at the time India. India supported the independence of East Turkestan Republic. And the First Republic have received some diplomatic support from United Kingdom. But after that, the Chinese Communist Party cooperated Soviet Union and annexed the whole territory. Because Soviet Union as the most powerful communist regime in the whole earth, they persuaded China if Chinese government occupied the East Turkestan as their territory, the Soviet Union can manage the other Central Asian countries like Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan, and other Central Asian states. So ultimately, East Turkestan Republic was occupied by Chinese Communist regime. If at the time East Turkestan became independent, Soviet Union feared other Turkic people who are ethnically and culturally same with us, with Uyghur people. They can also claim independence from the Soviet Union. So Soviet Union tried all their best to persuade communist China to occupy the region. And this is the flag. The yellow is the flag of Uyghur Khaganate. And the picture beside it is Bilge Kutluk Khagan, the first king of Uyghur Khaganate. In 1949, Chinese communist regime annexed the territory to Chinese People's Republic. And 1955, they founded Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in our homeland. Since then, the Uyghur independent groups call it East Turkestan People's Revolutionary Party. They tried all their best to be independent, especially in 1954 in Khotan, 1962 in Gulja, in 1975 in Merkit. This third-time revolution became very symbolic and very influential. Chinese Communist Party, they teach in historical lessons in all academic institutions that Uyghurs never stopped to be independent from the Chinese regime since it was occupied in 1949. But most recently, in 1991, after the Chinese, some other Central Asian Muslim Turkic countries became independent from Soviet Union, Uyghurs started their own different independent movements in all of the parts of the region, especially in Bahrain, in southern region. A lot of Uyghurs, more than 10,000 Uyghurs, organized very important independence movement. They have tried all their best to attack the Chinese police and the military. But it ended up as a failure. In 1997, since then, the Chinese communist regime recorded around 200 movements and riots against Chinese communist regime since 1949 up to 2015, 200 times. Every of them included at least 100 participants, at least. In 1997, the largest and most influential massacre happened in Gulja after Uyghur intellectuals and artists were arrested by the Chinese communist regime. Students and some youth groups, they have protested against the Chinese oppression. Since then, since 1997, the independence movement became more rare, but people tried to express their desire to be more free, religiously, culturally, and ethnically, but they mostly use it some violent manner. According to the independent investigations, those movements did not target any civilians or Chinese citizens. It mostly targeted the Chinese military and the police stations who have been oppressing the Uyghurs directly. The last and the most influential one was in 2009 in Urumqi, the capital of East Turkestan, the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. At that time, the two Uyghur workers who are sent to work in inland China, Guangdong. They were killed by the Chinese workers, and other more than 1,000 Uyghur workers protested against Chinese killing, murders. But as you know, Guangdong was the center of very racist and powerful Chinese workers. After this event, a lot of Uyghur, the Uyghur people in East Turkestan, they have got news that a lot of Uyghurs were killed in this incident. So in Urumqi, the students of Xinjiang University, in 5th July in 2009, they organized a large-scale protest asking the Chinese government to be fair, to treat all kinds of accidents and even riots, especially to punish those perpetrators of that murder. But that protest ended up by arrests and killings of disappearance of more than 10,000 Uyghurs. And this incident became a worldly, very United States government at the time, and Turkish government, and the Japanese government. They have spoken against the Chinese oppression at the time. That was the latest but most influential protest against the Chinese government. I'd like to very briefly introduce the Uyghur culture. Uyghur people, they have developed a unique culture in ancient Silk Road. We have a lot of cuisine and foods, very same with Central Asian and other Muslim population in Central Asia and Southeast Asia, like Pakistani people and Afghan Muslims. Maybe some of you can recognize some foods. Uyghur people have also developed very unique cultural and very humanic, artistic lifestyle. We have more than 50 kinds of musical instruments, and Tualu Mukam was one of the most prominent Uyghur cultural heritage, was recognized at UNESCO in 2001 as a very important human cultural heritage. Those are the pictures show us the Uyghur Mukam was being performed by Uyghur artists. Mukam was very Islamic version of a collective dance, music, and social act. Uyghur people have three versions of Mukam: Dolan Mukam, Kumul Mukam, and the Tualu Mukam. Tualu Mukam, it's a regional and the whole national. Dolan Mukam is it belongs to some specific type of local region. And the Kumul also belongs to a very specific region of the area. We can see some landscape at some places in our homeland. mark this. We're not selected for a specific purpose. It was selected very randomly. This is Uyghur homes. We believe that the Chinese government are destroying not only the religious belief of Uyghur people and the other ethnic Muslim groups in the region, but also the whole culture and very specific, unique culture of a specific human type in the region. Until 2017, Chinese government implemented some rational policy, which can be accepted by observers until 2017. In some extent, can be accepted by observers or watchers. When I say this, because I have seen some benefit and witnessed some very real changes in the region. Before I going into some atrocities, I would be very objective and also speak fact-checking points. So let me explain why I am saying Chinese government implemented very rational policies until 2017. The goal of Chinese government from its policy towards Uyghur people until 2017, it was oppression and appease all kinds of rights if any happens. So, in order to carry out this policy, the appease and carry out the permanent stability, Chinese government implemented some policies like migration of mass amount of Han Chinese to the region. Strike hard, three evil forces. Strike hard, three evil forces. Chinese government call three kinds of people, three evil forces. They are religious extremists, national separatists, and violent terrorists. The three evils, Yanda Sengu Shili in Chinese government say Yanda Sengu Shili, the three evil forces. Anyone who wants to be independent, they would be targeted as evil forces. Anyone who perform their religious beliefs, they are also targeted as evil forces. Anyone don't like the Chinese Han migrants, they will also be targeted as religious extremists. The third policy is the two-faced people. Until 2017, the Chinese government called any Uyghur executive officials, intellectuals, religious figures, artists, business leaders as if they do anything the Chinese government like, they would be labeled as two-faced people. What is two-faced? If you keep your own identity with you, if you serve your own people, you are called two-faced people because you promised the Chinese government to follow the atheist policy. But you also serve your own people. You keep your identity with yourself. So you are two-faced people. So this is still exists right now, but the Chinese government implemented this policy to target any prominent Uyghurs until 2017. Chinese government also removed Uyghur people, especially young people, from their own homeland and moved them to inland China and forced them to work Han Chinese fabrics for very low salaries. In exchange, Chinese government encouraged Han Chinese migrants to go to the region and occupy the agricultural resources and the places, and became the residents of the region. And the Chinese government tried all their best to keep Uyghur people very poor and weak. And the government also implemented the shutdown door policy. Until 2016, Uyghurs, the majority Uyghurs, were not able to get passport. I know there are a lot of Uyghurs came to the United States before 2016, but it was very rare for Uyghurs. When I was in the region, in my homeland, I was a social entrepreneur, journalist, and I know a lot of Uyghurs, they have tried to bribe the Chinese police to get a passport. One example, my friend Eli, who is the exporter of fruits to inland China, he has bribed 200,000 RMB to get a passport in 2010. He is from Hotan. His father was a Haji. Haji, what does mean Haji? You know, Haji is a person who performed, observed Hajj to Mecca. We show special respect to Hajj in our region. We call them Haji. So his father was Haji. No one in his family cannot get passport. This was until 2017. And Chinese government also used it to restrict ethnic culture, traditions. But 2017, Uyghur culture, Uyghur language, and Uyghur music, Uyghur mukam was not totally forbidden yet until 2017. So when I was in my homeland, 2017, Uyghur language was not forbidden totally. In some area, the schools allow the teachers and the students can speak Uyghur language until 2017. Before 2017, Chinese government arrested underground religious schools, especially in Hotan and the Kashgar. Those areas, the southern area, there are a lot of very prominent Uyghur religious scholars like Abdul Ahad, Yasin Qari Haji. They are very recognized in Central Asia. Hashim Karaji, Abdul Hakim Maksumajim, Abdul Qadir Damullah, those people educated in Central Asia, and they came to our homeland to teach Islam. But those, their followers, their students, all of them were arrested and punished for a very short time, and were released after they expressed their regret for their wrongdoing to teach illegally. But this was until 2017. And Chinese government also implemented population and the family population planning, population control, and the family planning policy. Chinese government in 1990 declared family planning that as a national policy. It asked all people to have only 2 kids. Chinese government also illegalized and outlawed all kinds of assembly and organizations. Until I left the region, there was no any political party organized by Uyghurs. There was no any non-profit organization which was supported by Chinese government. So until 2017, we did not have any chance to establish any political party or nonprofit organization. Since 2017, the Chinese government changed the boss of the region, Qin Chuanguo. He was the former boss of Tibet autonomous region. They implemented a new policy that eradicate the whole Uyghur nation. Mostly those policies include detain majority of young men and sentence them for long-term prisons, kill prominent Uyghurs by medical injection and harvest their organs. And the kill prominent Uyghurs by medical injection was proved by some of the witnesses. I would outline some of our basics and facts after those atrocities. Detain and imprison all of prominent Uyghurs, officials, religious, and business leaders, artists. Force young Uyghur females to marry Han Chinese. Separate the children from their parents and send them to Han Chinese orphanages. Cut off all of the relations of people with outside and block the media from entering the region. Demolish mosques and transform into fabrics and tourist destinations. Burn all Qurans and Uyghur books, even published by Chinese government, which was published in before 2017. The current situation is more horrible. The media have been reporting more than 3 million Uyghurs are being currently held in Nazi-style concentration camps, but we believe the numbers are much more than that. And last week, I posted in my WeChat, which was largely used by all of the Uyghurs in the region still, and I posted saying, one post asked, we heard that 3 million ships, the ships are very popular in our region, disappeared. And no theft admitted that they have stolen our ships. So how many ships disappeared? One Uyghur guy, I'm very sorry if I pronounce very badly. One friend wrote, it's very much, 7 million ships disappeared. And I screenshot these images and put in my telephone. And he added one more line. The theft admitted in an official meeting that 7 million ships disappeared. And there are a lot of resources managed by Han Chinese human rights defenders in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and America. And they have collected some information indicating that the people who are being detained right now, more than 5 million. And the Chinese government tried to collect the DNAs of all of Uyghurs. And organ harvesting became the most important factor to boost the local economy after so much people detained. And children of parents who were taken to jails or concentration camps were distributed to orphanages. And we have seen a lot of pictures that Han Chinese who don't have children, they are taking away those children from the orphanages. And Elise Anderson last month have posted one post in her Instagram and the Facebook account that the last news from East Turkestan. The largest bookstore in Urumqi have no Uyghur book in their bookshelves. One American journalist told her and sent a picture. There was no any Uyghur books left. Even the books permitted by the Chinese government to publish, they don't exist anymore. All of the historical Uyghur buildings are demolished. Uyghur economy was completely destroyed. Checkpoints are on every corner. Security forces are committing torture and extrajudicial killing with impunity. There are some pictures of vocational school, which was identified and verified by independent investigations by some institutions based in Australia and Canada. Those locations are identified by satellite images. And there are more than 1,200 concentration camps in the whole region. The number was confirmed by Adrian Zins, a German the scholar who focused on Chinese policy towards Uyghurs and other minorities. And there is very large scale, a huge concentration camp in Gansu province, which can hold more than 1 million people. And after 100,000 Uyghurs are moved from Uyghur Autonomous Region to Gansu province in last August, there are a lot of chaos among the Han Chinese because they are asked to not go out during the whole day because there are a lot of police and escorted on the streets, and they have taken pictures on the situation, and they put on the social media saying that 世界上最大的集中营, the largest concentration camp on the earth ever. And there are some Han Chinese specialist experts based in Hong Kong and Taiwan. They have exposed the nature of concentration camps. And Islam was totally banned in the region since May 2017. And Assalamu Alaikum became the most devastating word for Uyghur people. If one person say Assalamu Alaikum, he was targeted to be sent those camps. There are 48 reasons to be sent those camps. 48 reasons to be sent to camps, but Assalamu Alaikum was very simple, very common, very popular way to be sent those camps. And we have specific facts and the cases to prove this message. And before 2014, the Chinese government published one white paper that there are more than 24,000 mosques in the region. 24,000 mosques in the region. But after 2017, according to the message we have got, more than 20,000 mosques are demolished. And the Chinese government has also published in Human Rights White Paper in 2015. It said there are 60,000 religious workers in the region. And at that time, the leader of those religious workers and the servants, Muhammad Salih, Abdul Hamid Haji, Abdulahad Mahsum and Abdüşkür Damullah. Those people were serving in different religious centers in Kashgar, Hoten, and Urumqi. But those people, all of them, were killed in concentration camps since 2017. And I will show the pictures after that. For the time reason, so I will make it very short. And the Foreign Policy magazine have published one article saying that 48 ways to get sent to Chinese concentration camps. And this is the document. Ask all of the schools to ban and stop to teach Uyghur language. There are some pictures, I cannot show them. And most of the mosques, except very large and symbolic ones in big cities, especially the mosques in rural area and the counties, all of them transformed in fabrics or tourist destinations. Those three prominent Uyghur religious leaders were killed in those camps. Muhammad Salih, the first one, the first scholar who translated Quran into Uyghur language. That Quran Uyghur version was published in 1983. He was the president of Xinjiang Islamic College, Xinjiang İslam Şöyen. And the second one is the Khatib and the Khatib of Kashgar Mosque. And the third one is the most prominent religious scholar from Hoten. Those three people were killed in those camps. And a lot of Uyghurs in southern region, they are forced to raise pigs and eat pork. And in last December, 2 months ago, the Makit and the Shaya counties television station, they have broadcasted one program. The Chinese officials stay in front and ask all of the people to not eat any Islamic diet. And they asked, halal is over. And any product which is labeled with the word of halal, those company and the entrepreneurs and the business owner, all of them also targeted. So the Muslims who hate to do those things, right now they're forced to do anything the Chinese government asks. Those pictures are the pictures of most prominent Uyghur intellectuals who are being targeted right now. Those 4 people, the presidents and chief of different departments. Those Uyghur children are being taught in Han Chinese style. Those children separated from their parents and became homeless. Those some pictures inside from the camps. Those Uyghur women are being forced to marry Han Chinese. And those Uyghur people are forced to welcome Han Chinese men into their homes. And those Uyghur women, as you can see, the women's long dress are being shortened on the streets. Those some pictures of the inside camps. And yes, I have a lot to say, but for time reason, thank you very much. My speech is over. Thank you.
The different Muslims, a diverse crowd of Muslims who came together because one was not aware of how traumatic the situation was or how serious the situation was, and the others knew, but they had no voice necessarily. There's been very little voice for the Uyghur, and all of the Muslims who are suffering in East Turkestan. So the focus of our organization is to give a voice to the voiceless and give a voice to the oppressed, as well as our goal is to get these people out of these camps, to walk them out of the camps. This is our goal, this is our aspiration, inshallah, and we will work very ardently towards that goal. In the meantime, one of the queries that I had as an American Muslim, an African-American Muslim, was, okay, how does this, why should we be so concerned about this particular issue? So this brother's going to be speaking to you now, inshallah, Brother Sabri. He would not share his bio with me, so I don't know anything about him, except that he teaches at Al School. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So those of you who know him, inshallah, you can give him his own credentials. You can accept his credentials because you know him already, but that's all I can say about him right now. And his talk is going to be, why is the Uyghur Muslim crisis an American Muslim awakening? Brother Sabri.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. First, I just want to say Jazakallah khair to the brother Tahir for giving us that presentation and enlightening us upon the struggles and the tribulations our brothers and sisters are going through in that province. Just a little background about myself. Alhamdulillah, I grew up in the United States from Arab descent. I graduated from George Mason University with honors at a younger age, mashallah, and I went overseas and studied abroad in Islamic University of Medina. I studied in Egypt and Syria and Jordan and other places, but that's where I mainly studied for the degree of Sharia. Before I share an experience, I just wanted you to picture being taken away from your home without any prior notification and put into a place that you have no idea about and cut off from your family. How would you feel? This is what's happening to our brothers and sisters in many places of the world, but currently we're talking about this province, right, with our Uyghur brothers and sisters, for no crime except that they are Muslim. On a personal note, my final year of studies at Jama'ah Islamiyya in Medina, I was just about to graduate. Actually, the night before I was going to get married as well, just the court, recording of our marriage. A person approached me, and I'm just going to cut this story short, but basically I was taken at gunpoint and put into a secret prison, and I had no idea why. And I couldn't talk to my family. I couldn't tell them what's going on. I couldn't call the family of the bride and tell them, I'm not going to make it. My family got very worried, obviously, alhamdulillah, that day, because I didn't show up to the court. They started calling my family back home in America and reaching out and looking for me, and they found out what happened. But a long story short, I was kept in solitary confinement, in a secret prison with no reason or explanation of why for almost 3 months. And then I found out it was at the order of the FBI. And I was brought back to the United States in a very tough situation. Alhamdulillah, I was tried with false allegations, and I won at trial. They came up with 2 different allegations, and alhamdulillah, I was successful in defeating them both. But qaddar ma sha'a fa'al. After that, I was continuously harassed, and the last time I went to trial, I was found guilty, unfortunately, falsely for, they said, obstruction of justice. And I did about almost 10 years in the federal prison. So when we're talking about, I'm not trying to share the story for sympathy or anything like that for myself, but just to think about, this is a country that has a rule of law, basically. So at least I got to talk to my family, for example, in prison. I got to be in contact, with them. I had books. I was able to practice my religion. Imagine all that they're going through, but they're not allowed to practice their religion. They're not allowed to contact their family. As a Muslim, we cannot have this ease in our heart and be, at peace with this. As a Muslim, one, he should have feelings for his brothers and sisters. I can rate on a personal note, and I'm telling you, as you know me here, as your brother, that I grew up in this country. I grew up with many of you knowing me as a young child and what I went through. But these, our brothers and sisters, are going through it right now as we speak on a daily basis. Alhamdulillah, many people came and spoke on my behalf, Muslim and non-Muslim. But who is going to speak on the behalf of these people? Who is going to care for these people except us? The sister talked to me and mentioned, I'm sorry I didn't have enough time to prepare properly and I don't feel I'm doing justice to it, but inshallah I will try my best in the short time I'm allotted to give a couple of explanations of maybe why we should be concerned as Muslims in America for this. First and foremost, we are being tested. One of the purposes of our lives is to be tested. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that, glory be to Him, He created life and death to see who will be best of you in deeds. They are being tested through hardship and suffering. We're being tested in ease. No matter who you are, young, old, black, white, believer or even non-believers, you're going to go through a test in life. As we're sitting in ease right now, we're being tested. Are we thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this ni'mah? Are we caring about our brothers and sisters abroad? In so many countries, not only this country, but in Syria and Yemen, everywhere they're suffering. But tonight we're talking about our brothers and sisters of the Uyghur people. Do you care about them? When their families are being pulled apart, when the Muslim women are being forced to marry the non-Muslim men, when they're being incarcerated and beaten for having the Quran, do you care about that? Do you at the very least make dua for them? So one of the reasons we are supposed to take concern is because we are being tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The main purpose in our life, as I said, one of the main purposes of our life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're going to be tested in that worship. وَلَبْلُوكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. We will surely test you with a measure of fear and hunger and loss of wealth and lives and fruits, and give good tidings to those who are patient. You must be patient and persevere and never give up, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. Who are these patient? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. The ones when a test comes to them, they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and says, for Him, it is to Him and to Him shall we return. So this life is temporal. And we're going to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He's going to ask us, how did we deal with this test? How did you feel when your brothers and sisters are being tortured? What did you do for them? The term ibtila actually comes from the word to be tested and tried. Like in school, when you're going through school, you take tests to see if you're going to pass or you're going to fail. Like how the fire tests the gold to make it pure. That's how the Muslim is. Our brothers and sisters over there are being tested through torture and persecution and oppression, and we're being tested here with our ease. How are we going to deal with that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He promised us that He will never place a burden upon us that we cannot bear. So no matter how tough the test is, we have the capability to take it, especially as Muslims. So when we're going through this test, you have to do what you can to show that you're passing it. Even if it's simply making dua for your brothers and sisters. But attending functions like these, spreading awareness, supporting financially, doing what you can, because you never know if that test will come to you here. And then how would you like the Muslims to treat you if that happens? In many nations around the world, there's always some type of oppression going, but Muslims, we can't stand for that. So we must persevere in our test. Also, from the reasons of test is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to check the ranks to see who's better. وَقَطَعْنَاهُمْ فِي أَرْضِ إِمَمًا مِنْهُمْ الصَّالِحُونَ وَمِنْهُمْ دُونَ ذَلِكَ وَبَلَوْنَاهُمْ بِالْحَسَنَةِ وَسَيِّئَاتِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. To see who of us will come back to Allah. Allah tests us with good and with bad. ما كان الله ليذر المؤمنين على ما أنتم عليه حتى يميز الخبيث من الطيب. To distinguish between the righteous and the wicked. Allah gives us tests. ونبلوكم حتى نعلم المجاهدين منكم والصابرين ونبلو أخباركم. We surely will test you to ascertain those of you who struggled in our cause, who worked, who persevered, from those who are and we will see, and those who are steadfast and patient. Allah is testing us to see if we're going to be firm in our belief and work and persevere through this. And He will read our records. أَمْ حَسِبَتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِن قَبْلِكُمْ. You think you'll go into Jannah and you won't have that which came upon those before you? Throughout history, people are tested. The Muslims are tested. Look at all the stories of the Anbiya and the Prophets, alayhim as-salatu was-salam. They went through tests. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see if they're going to persevere. Don't get fooled because, mashallah, we can enjoy these nice meals and sleep in a nice bed and not have to worry about bombs upon our heads or being taken in the middle of the night and put in a concentration camp. That you're not being tested. You are being tested. Allah is testing you with this ease and to see if you have it in your heart to care about your brothers and sisters. ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. Do the people suppose they will be left to say, we believe, and they will not be tested? وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ فَلْيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلْيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. Surely we have tested those before you to ascertain who are the truthful and who are the liars. You say you're Muslim, you say you're mu'min, but do you walk the walk? It's easy to say the speech, but do you act upon your faith? Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said, the test of a mu'min is like the test of gold. The more fire the gold has, the more impurities it goes out of it, and the stronger and the better and the purer it is. So the more tests the Muslim goes through, the closer he gets to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And trials can be a sign from Allah that He loves you. إِنَّ اللَّهِ إِذَا حَبَّ عَبْدًا ابْتَلَاهُ. If Allah loves a servant, He gives him a test. So as we're going through our ease, we're being tested, and it's going to show how we reacted to it. What do we do to support our brothers and sisters? Always remember, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you truly believes until he loves for his brother or sister what he loves or she loves for themselves. The Prophet ﷺ, he connected Iman to how you carry about your brothers and sisters. Like a true mu'min, a true believer, he can't sleep, full and comfortable while his brother and sisters are hungry. So the second point, why we should care as American Muslims, basically those living in America, about the Uyghurs, is that they are supposed to be our brothers and sisters in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after the famous ayah that we always read in the khutbah al-Jum'ah, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared and die not except in a state of Islam. This is a very important ayah. And right after that, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold tight to the rope of Allah and do not be divided. So you are supposed to be, as a Muslim, holding tight to the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. We are one ummah. We are one nation. If we bleed over there, we're bleeding over here. Those are our brothers and sisters. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, مَثْلُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي تَوَادِيهِمْ وَتَرَاحُمِهِمْ وَتَعَاطُفِهِمْ كَمَثْلِ الْجَسَدِ الْوَاحِدِ إِذَا اشْتَكَى مِنْهُ عَضْوٌ تَضَاعَ لَهُ سَائِرُ الْأَعْضَاءِ بِالْحُمَى وَالسَّهَرِ. He said that the Muslims are like one body. The Muslims in their love for each other and their care for each other is like one body. If one part of your body is hurting, your whole body feels the pain. And it becomes with like fever and swelling to get rid of that pain. So your body is coming together to get rid of that one part of the body that's hurting, to get rid of that pain, to ease the pain. And that's how the Muslims are with each other. If a Muslim country or a Muslim brother or sister is suffering anywhere in the world, we should feel that pain. They're part of our body, they're part of our ummah. And we should see if we are going to come together as a body and take that pain away from them and ease that pain. He also said, الْمُؤْمِنْ لِلْمُؤْمِنْ كَالْبُنْيَانِ يُشَدُّ بَعْضُهَا بَعْضًا. The Muslim is like a building, they build one another, they're building blocks, right? If you have a strong foundation, a strong building, they're all like holding each other tight, you have a strong ummah, right? But if you start taking out bricks and taking out the foundations, that building will crumble. So the Muslim to the other Muslim is like a building holding each other up. It doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're white, it doesn't matter what country you're from, you are a Muslim, you are one ummah. You're not going to be asked what color you are. You're not going to be asked how wealthy you are. You're going to be asked how much taqwa you had. And part of taqwa is caring about your brothers and sisters, wherever they are. The third reason why we should be concerned about our brothers and sisters who are in a different part of the world from us is that a Muslim does not stand for injustice or oppression anywhere against any people. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. That you are the best of people because why? You enjoin the good and forbid the evil, and you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From enjoining the good and forbidding the evil is stopping oppression anywhere it is. A Muslim can't sit idly by and watch the people be oppressed. Even if they are non-Muslim, we cannot stand for oppression. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Hadith Qudsi, He said, يَا عِبَادِي إِنِّي حَرَمْتُ الظُّلْمَ عَلَى نَفْسِي وَجَعَلْتُهُ بَيْنَكُمْ مَحَرَّمًا فَلَا تُظَالَمُوا. O servants of Allah, I have made oppression forbidden upon myself, upon Allah Azza wa Jalla, al-Adl, the most just. وَجَعَلْتُهُ بَيْنَكُمْ مُحَرَّمًا, and I made it amongst you forbidden. It's haram to have oppression amongst us. It's haram to allow oppression. Look at the great history of our ummah. Many nations Islam spread to was because they were being oppressed and they asked the Muslims to come there to free them from the oppression. A Muslim can't stand for oppression. The Prophet ﷺ also, he told us, لا تحاسدوا ولا تناجشوا ولا تباغضوا ولا تدابروا ولا يبي بعضكم على بي بعد وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا. المسلم أخو المسلم لا يظلمه ولا يخذله ولا يكذبه ولا يحقره. التقوى ها هنا ويشير إلى قلبي ويشير إلى صدري. That a Muslim, to talk about the relevant parts, is the brother of another Muslim. He does not do injustice to him. He does not turn his back to him. He does not leave him to his enemies. He does not betray him. If you have a Muslim anywhere in the world being oppressed and you turn your back, you have no care in your heart whatsoever for that, that's a sign of a weakness of faith and that you're betraying your brother or your sister. You're turning your back upon them. How would you feel if somebody came and took you from your family? Or how about if you feel if somebody come and took your wife from you? How would you feel if somebody come and took your son from you and threw them in a concentration camp? That's our brothers, that's our sisters, that's our sons, that's our daughters, that's our mothers, that's our fathers. We cannot tolerate injustice, no matter where it is. Also, the rights of the Muslim is sanctified. Like the blood and honor of a Muslim is sanctified. It's a duty upon every Muslim to protect that. And the more we start stepping up and caring about each other, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us izzah. Look at the history of the revivers of the ummah. The generals, the scholars, they stood up against oppression, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lighted the world with them. Shirk is, of course, the most evil of oppression, so a Muslim should be calling to Tawheed. But this physical form of oppression and racism and institutional sanctified, basically ethnic cleansing in a sense, is oppression, and we cannot stand for that. It's sad to see, so much suffering in the Muslim world, and the Muslims being so complacent about it. Oh, that's over there, it's not going to bother me. It doesn't have nothing to do with me. You're a Muslim, it has something to do with you. Don't think if you take that lightly, it won't happen to you. At any second, things can change. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them ease and gives you oppression. What's going to happen then? Would you like them to think that? A Muslim, he cannot leave his brother and sister Muslim no matter where they are. At the very least, like I said, you should make dua for them. But we should start getting organized and becoming a voice in this country for good, for khair. You have so many voices for evil, people calling to the wrong things. Why don't we as Muslims step up and call to the good things, to the righteousness, to correct our society? The Prophet ﷺ, all the Anbiya were muslihun. They were correctors of society. right? They fought against oppression. They stood for justice. This is what the Muslims should be doing. We should stand up for justice. We should get organized and united, have an agenda for how to speak the truth and teach the people about the truth and lift the people out of ignorance and be a force for our ummah around the world. Like I said, we're being tested here in ease. We have so much ease, we have so much wealth, we have so much, knowledge, mashallah, and people in positions. Why don't we get organized so we can help our brothers and sisters around the world? Other communities that are far less than us are doing a lot more. Take advantage of our resources, come together and help this ummah. In the very least, start in your household. Educate your children. Educate your spouses. We have to get an understanding of our deen, an understanding of loving the ummah and reviving the ummah. We need our children to grow up with this goal in their mind, that they can be the heroes like Salah ad-Din Ayyubi, right? Or the many different characters and generals and leaders we had in our ummah. So these are the three main reasons. I know they pray Salat al-Isha at 8 o'clock, so I don't want to go much further, but just some food for thought, that we basically are going through a test. They are our brothers and sisters, and we do not stand for oppression, wherever it is. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا الغفور الرحيم. جزاكم الله خير, and sorry if I didn't do justice to the cause, but inshallah this gives you some food of thought. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.